Hello and welcome to the channel. It is no use trying to explain how bad the 2023 elections was. It was very bad. But we can't keep harping on about it. There's got to be a time to draw a line on the sand and move on. Heal and reconcile and work towards doing better. It feels like a cycle, a repetition, but until we do get it right, what choice do we have? Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you. In 2023 elections, divisive politics on national reconciliation. The 2023 general elections have largely been held and concluded, even though it remains inconclusive in a few places. The presidential and the National Assembly elections were held on Saturday, 25th February, while those for the governorship in 28 states and the state houses of assembly were held on Saturday, 18 March. Without doubt, these polls could be described as the most divisive electoral contest ever held in the country since the advent of self-governance. They were ethnically charged and deeply polarizing along religious lines. The political elite, their influencers, as well as a section of the religious elite, pushed Nigeria close to the brink of national collapse yet again through their actions and utterances. A number of the leading political parties and their flag bearers mobilized ethnic and religious sentiments through their comments and, in some cases, Freudian slips to garner votes. Some religious elites, including religious leaders, turned the presidential election into a struggle between the forces of good and evil. Such opposing binary posed as a cosmic battle between light and darkness, ironically, put the masses, most of them Christians and Muslims, at risk. Existing gullibility and needless distrust between Nigeria's two major faiths meant that the masses forgot that those driving these religious divisions could quite easily leave the country at a moment's notice once violence breaks out. Ethnic groups, in particular, the Yorubas and Igbos, who had lived together and intermarried for decades, were once again dangerously set up as political enemies. Political vitriol was the start. Then, autochthony, the politics of indigenship and the question of belonging were taken to a new level in a place like Lagos, where it is suspected to have triggered arson on a market and sparked pockets of violence across the metropolis. As the climate of antagonism spread, the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, took immediate actions to douse the situation, while the president-elect, Bola Tinubu, made a plea for healing across strife-riven groups, greater social inclusiveness, and a rebuilding of our sense of community. They and other political leaders can and must do more. Politics is serious business and has always been engaged in with heightened passions, which at times could be followed by intense bickering, even in longer practiced democracies. However, Nigerians must refuse to accept being regularly pushed to the brink of national collapse every time there are elections in the country. Nigeria has, in the space of 30 years, gone from the monumentally and historically popular MKO Abiola Babagana Kingibe ticket to religious and ethnic political warlordism fueled by unscrupulous political strategies and newer ubiquitous technological tools and platforms like social media. The state of affairs is an invention of the elite in interaction with gullible followers. It is time for a policy of national reconciliation. There are deep and wide wounds that predated the 2023 elections. The recent elections have only exacerbated latent and unresolved national issues, including those from as far back as the Nigerian Civil War of the 1967 and 1970. The country has failed to fully reflect on the war and robustly invest in enduring protocols of national unity. Even key policies and institutions such as the Unity Schools and the National Youth Service Corps have not enabled real integration. They must be revitalized, while the perpetually underperforming National Orientation Agency must be nudged back to consciousness. It is indeed at times like this to educate citizens on the need for love, peace, and unity. The Nigerian government will need to take drastic and firm steps to insulate our religious institutions from politics going forward. Section 97 of the Electoral Act 2022 forbids candidates, individuals, and associations from campaigns based on religious, ethnic, or sectional interest. Yet, the top three candidates in the last presidential election, as well as many influential citizens, violated that provision without consequences. Our churches and mosques became platforms of intense campaigns, while press conferences were repeatedly organized by individuals and groups to denounce and oppose the faith-based candidacies in some parties. Likewise, ethnic and regional groups such as Afenifere, Ohanense Ndigbo, the Middle Belt Forum, the Arewa Consultative Forum, the Northern Elders Forum, and the Pan-Niger Delta Forum all worked hard at outdoing one another in a scramble to endorse one candidate or the other without bothering about the consequences of their actions. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and please turn the notification bell on. Thank you. While the Nigerian Constitution guarantees the freedom of association for everyone, the divisive activities of some of these groups, which did not help national unity, should be discouraged. Going forward, INEC should liaise with security agencies to enforce the provisions of Section 97 of the Electoral Act, which stipulates on conviction a maximum fine of 1 million naira or imprisonment for a term of 12 months or both for violators. In addition, although there have been several efforts to reform Nigeria's electoral system in the recent past, the actual voting format needs to be reconsidered. First, the idea of asking nearly 100 million people to vote on a single day across the entire country in multi-level elections organized by a single organization is a recipe for disaster. Many countries have staggered elections over several days. The election period is as long as 28 days in some countries. Second, the notion of having all eligible voters stand in line without any recourse to alternative ways of voting is a choice we have made as a country. There are innovations in the banking sector that may be easily adapted to the political arena. To be sure, Nigeria's e-banking at the individual client level is on par with that in several Western countries. Some of the data and markers of identification can be deployed in the political arena. That will increase participation and reduce the debilitating pressure on days of election. There is also the need to strengthen existing laws to make more stringent punishment for actions intended to intimidate others in pursuit of electoral victory and/or to dissuade identifiable groups from exercising their right to vote for whomever they please. That's the news, guys. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye.